the school, Tom Sansone with Wix USA, and Loretta Smith with Wix USA. Jamie Rood is the marketing, strategic marketing consultant and web designer for Cornerstone Project, and he's also recently taken on Wix USA. So we're all sort of working together. And Kimberly DiLoretto, who is one of my youngest and sweetest board members on earth. And Karen Calby, who is, we all know, is the president of, or the chair of the Friends of Nambale and Nambale Scholars. So there we have introduction to all.
Could we see Karen?
She's actually driving in the car on the way from the airport to home.
Okay.
Which actually is sort of like, I think probably.
So no, you can't see me, Loretta.
Okay.
You can't see her, and this is her usual view, like in mode of transit.
Yes, truth be told.
But sometimes when she's driving, she's also doing yoga. It's just extraordinary.
Will you guys stop it? Stop it. Let's get on with the meeting.
We're having fun with you.
You sure are.
In any event, I think we will go ahead and start the meeting. Pete Shiro might be joining us, but he can join us. We've introduced ourselves. We're very grateful to the Norotan Presbyterian Church, who is not only a tremendous supporter of the Nambale Magnet School, but they also were the creators of the slideshow that we were watching earlier. So thank you, Norotan Presbyterian Church, for both of those things. We're going to have a slideshow. It will be recorded. This is being recorded. We're going to have a slideshow, and then after the slideshow, Evalyn will say a few words. Then we're going to open it up to questions and a Q&A afterwards. So without further ado, why don't we start the video and take a look at the school?
Give me 1 sec, because I have 2 things in my sharing mode.
Oh, okay, that's right. Oh, we have to.
We're going to do. You want to do?
I forgot to mention
video now, right?
Right. If you think of any questions, hit the chat button, and record. Did you co-host me, Jamie?
Did I what?
Co-host me.
I'll do that in just a sec.
Okay, because we're going to direct questions to me, and then I will read them out, and then we'll have discussion.
We'll do that just after we run this video.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
All right, without any further ado, let's take a look at the school.
So this is the school in 2021.
My name is Evalyn Wakhusama. I'm the founder director of Nambale Magnet School. We have been in operation since 2009. And I would like to thank numerous people and organizations for the way in which they have supported us over the years, namely Wix USA, Cornerstone Project, Friends of Nambale, Nambale Scholars, churches, including NPC, Christ Church Bethany, the Congregational Churches in Connecticut, Rotary Clubs, and numerous individuals who have been so gracious to us. We say thank you. During the COVID pandemic in 2020, schools closed for a whole 9 months. And when we finally resumed in September for only 2 grades, we were able to pick up learning. And then in January 21, the rest of the school reopened. We have picked up and school is now prospering again. We are preparing the Standard 8 for the high school qualifying exams in 2 weeks' time. The students are confident and we believe they will post good results, just as the previous 4 years. We believe in academic distinction and excellence. And we have been able to graduate children to high school 4 times successfully. We appreciate other workers who continually spend their energy and work towards making our school a better place. We also believe in sustainability, and this has been possible through the different activities we undertake. On the farm, we have dairy, pigs, chicken, and we also grow a number of vegetables, such as tomatoes and kale. We now have reliable water, which was a gift through Rotary International. We have a well, have a biodigester for waste management, and a grey water recycling plant, which helps us in waste management.
My name is Nixon Murunga, and I'm in class 8 in the Nambale Magnet. I'm 14 years old, and I'd like to thank the school for the support that they've given us. 8 years is not a joke. They have supported us, and we promise to deliver. Shall we?
Yes, we shall. My name is Kimberly Melvin Olasa. I am 14 years old. I learn in the Nambale Magnet School. This has been a very good school to me. It's a wonderful school. It's the best learning institution. I believe in myself. As I'm in standard 8, I know I can make it. Together with my class, I stand firm saying that we can make it in the forthcoming exam.
The ongoing vision for the school is to focus on educational excellence and distinction. We have continued to place emphasis on nurture and sustainability, which include retention of staff with new benefit package, building a preschool and daycare center to ensure safety of our learners. Consider community vocational training as a way to empower the community livelihoods, and also invest in additional alternative energy solutions which will sustain the school. We pray that you would work with us in the days ahead. Thank you.
Here we go. I do want to just break in and say, as a technical person, what a wonderful job Evalyn did with her consultants to create that video, and what a wonderful thing it is to share with you. Thank you.
Now,
Tom,
I would like you to introduce Evalyn.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today, and a special good evening to you, Evalyn, in Nairobi. I know you're 7 hours ahead of us. Thank you for accommodating the time difference. As Martine mentioned at the outset during the introductions, my name is Tom Sansone, and I have the privilege of being a board member of WICS USA, one of the organizations which, along with the Cornerstone Project and Nambale Scholars and Friends of Nambale, have been instrumental in supporting the wonderful work being done at the Nambale Magnet School in Western Province. For those of you who were witnessing the slideshow which preceded the video, I do want to note that those pictures were taken pre-pandemic. So you'll notice that in those particular photographs, the children and the staff were not wearing masks, because that was in the good old days before COVID had struck. In vivid contrast, you saw in that fabulous video that Evalyn's group produced that the appropriate hygiene, social distancing, and other protective protocols are in place to make sure that the students and staff are kept safe. So we just wanted to make sure that that was clear. As Martine had mentioned before we started the video, there is a chat function, and it has now been, I believe, accommodated, or will be accommodated, so you can send directly to Martine any questions or comments that you have, which will form the basis for the discussion after we begin with Evalyn. And that brings me to my most important task today, which is to introduce Evalyn Wakhusama. I have known Evalyn since 1999, when she made the very bold move of leaving her 4 small children and the capable care of her devoted husband, Sam, to journey to the United States for 3 years to pursue 2 advanced degrees at the Yale Divinity School. Prior to that, Evalyn had been only the 2nd woman ordained to the Anglican Communion in the Mumias Diocese of the Anglican Church of Kenya back before she journeyed to the United States. So she was already a pioneer and a high achiever before she came here. Evalyn picked up her 2 advanced degrees at the Yale Divinity School over a 3-year period, including a degree, a master's in divinity and a doctorate of sacred music, and returned to Kenya in 2002 with the wonderful learning and inspiration that she had gained through her time in the States, during which time she made a lot of friends here in Fairfield, New Haven, and in Litchfield County. With a group of professional women back in Kenya in 2002, Evalyn started the organization known as WICS, which is an acronym for Women's Initiative in Knowledge and Survival. And its most important project by far has been the creation of the Nambale Magnet School, which provides a quality, nurturing environment for children orphaned or otherwise rendered vulnerable by the AIDS pandemic in Kenya. Evalyn, of course, has been back on many occasions to visit us in the United States. In 2011, she came back not only to visit us, but also to be present when her alma mater, the Yale Divinity School, awarded her its Lux et Veritas Award 9 years after she had returned to Kenya. That award is presented to a graduate whose work demonstrates excellence in applying the compassion of the Lord to the diversities of the human condition. So that was a wonderful opportunity. It was also an opportunity for Sam to journey to the United States for his first trip to the States. So we enjoyed hosting Sam as well. Evalyn's achievements also include being selected for the very prestigious Ford Motor Company International Fellowship at the 92nd Street Y in 2015. It would take a long time, more than we have today, to detail all of Evalyn's attributes, accomplishments, and incredible talent, but I think most of you are already aware of most of that. So with no further ado, I will turn it over to Evalyn Wakhusama.
Thank you, Tom, for that generous introduction. I'm humbled to have you at this meeting. If there's anything I would like to leave behind after this, is my profound gratitude to all of you for the way in which you've supported this dream. You've no idea the impact that the school has on the community of Nambale and the regions around. We just want to thank you for making a whole difference in these children's lives. And sometimes it's difficult to talk of the successes we have heard at the school because there are many and they continue to be such meaningful successes that impact livelihoods. But I want to mention 2 specific measures. As a school, we run the Kenyan education curricula, which its measure is on national exams. And these exams determine whether children should go further or maybe somehow find an alternative way of survival. As a school, we have paid a lot of attention on academic excellence because we know that that is the one thing that would be used to transition these children to the next level. And as an elementary school, the first exam that qualifies these children is one that's done at 8th grade. And if children do not make it, then it seems as if their destiny is sealed. And so we have worked together as a team with the teachers and staff, and of course with the support of those who have been working with us over this time to ensure that we prepare a winning class. And we've done this for the now 5 times. This last time was the 5th time, and every time we've done it, the students have done very well, and 100% of them have transitioned to high school. But just not any high school, but some of them have gotten into what I would compare the US to as Ivy League high schools. And because of that, it means their chances of even moving further just increase, multiply. It's astronomers, the way in which that change happens. So this last exam, which was done after the COVID-19 reopening, that was challenging because children had been away for so long, and the focus on education and the challenges of accessing material and being able to just come back to a serious study, that in itself was a challenge. But we were able to help these children work through all those challenges. And then when the results came out, they did very well. And so we are very thankful to have received another winning class for the 5th time. Another measure of success is an exam that is done at what I would call the grade 12, which is the last year of high school. And for the first time, the students we raised at the school, when they did their standard 8, were now able to take their Form 4 exam, which is the grade 12, which qualifies them to college. And we were optimistic because some of these students were some of our top students at school. We followed them, we've supported them, and through friends, Nambale Scholars that's run by Karen, we've helped these children for these 4 years. And when the results came out about 2 weeks ago, another win for us. And this has made us feel very good because then we feel the school has laid the foundation. The school has been, a champion in supporting these children. And now here we are enabling them now to go to college. So there are so many successes that we have heard in the farming, in just being able to give light to the community. We've had people who come in to benchmark with us and many others. And so for us, we see our school as a beacon of hope and a symbol of development. And we are thankful because we've not done it alone, but because we have partnered with people who love children and who value education and who have very generous hearts. Thank you.
Thank you, Evalyn. We're going to try and, I don't know if I'm not getting, I have some questions that were fielded actually from a previous town hall that I thought would be interesting for have Evalyn answer to this particular group. In the meantime, okay, we do have some questions coming in.
So I'm just gonna do a technical brief for anyone who may not be used to using Zoom. There's a chat function that you will see if you sort of mouse over the bottom of your screen in Zoom and you click chat, and it turns on a little white sidebar. And down at the very bottom, you'll be able to send messages directly to Martine. She is now the host. And you should see, look.
Okay, here we go. It's happening. Woo.
Are you seeing the messages, Martine?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so Stephanie just sent a message to me directly. Just send messages to Martine. It should be.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to where it was going.
That's all right.
I'll fix that.
With every one of these meetings, we learn something new about Zoom.
Every time. And I thought we had it so it would only send messages to host, but Zoom surprises me each day. So
actually, you originally did have it like that, because I was going to just I was trying to privately message Evalyn to tell her how gorgeous she looked, and I couldn't. It only allowed me to do it to the host, which is why I didn't check back, I think, when you switched who the host was.
Well, Jamie looks very nice too.
No worries at all.
Okay, I would like to read a question that Tom put out before the floor. How has the school managed its compliance with the protocols required for the COVID pandemic? A very interesting question. And I will also add, how is the COVID pandemic affecting Nambale and Northwestern Kenya, or Kenya as a whole, for people who, you know, we feel like we're getting out of the woods on our end. What's it like up your way?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's difficult to tell where we are in terms of the pandemic, because we seem to have had 3 waves, yet they've not been as severe as we may have feared compared to other parts of the world. There've been measures that have been taken. And so as a school, what we've done is, prior to reopening, I sent out a message and informing our groups that the government had announced reopening and we needed to have the COVID protocols in place. And so through your support, we were able to put up washing points, barriers, buy some of the thermoguns, as you've seen, make masks, and anything that we could lay our hands on. And that prepared us. So by the time when our students were coming in and with the parents, we were very well set and our staff were very ready to receive children. So that has been good. We haven't had any direct incident of COVID-19 within the school. However, one of our students lost a parent, but she was a health worker. And so it was sad that she lost her mother through that. Other than that, we have ensured that there's just, you know, compliance to what is required to just keeping the school a safe place. And the monitoring is done very, very stringently under the care and the direction of our school nurse.
Also, how did you rate, and I know the answer to this, but some other people might want to know, how did you guys rate in terms of your position along with other schools in your compliance and your preparedness for the COVID pandemic?
Compared to the others, I would say we were considered the best school in terms of preparation. Somebody was even surprised that we had a thermogun checking our temperature right as you enter. We even went ahead and bought the thumb things that measure oxygen level, oximeters. We even went ahead and did that and said, should we have a child suffer, then we want to know that we are not only checking temperature, but we are also checking oxygen level. So we did some of those things as you know, a real serious way of making sure that the school is a safe place.
Okay, I want to say Stephanie Lehman has a question and a comment, and I'm interested in this. Very good question. Also, it would be great to hear from both a PR perspective as well as a metric to measure if we could follow a few of the children through high school / college and into their careers, possibly following 1 or 2 that were not as successful, to see a path that one takes if they cannot go to school. And the second part of that is, do any of the children apply to colleges in the US? I just want to preface, we saw during the COVID epidemic, the 9 months that the school was closed, the devastation that it had on the children that could not go to school. Our teachers were very diligent in making sure that the kids, they followed the kids and tried to keep them as much as possible into some sort of a curriculum loop. But many of the kids that didn't have that luxury didn't have enough to eat. They were forced into child labor. Things did not go well. And when the children came back that came to the Nambale Magnet School, they were thinner, more tired. So it's definitely a safer place to be in school than out of school. Now, Evalyn, I'm going to have you discuss the rest of the question, but I think that would be a really interesting way to, I mean, I don't know how we would do it, but an interesting pursuit.
Yeah, thank you, Steph, for that question. And we are very aware that not every child is academically driven. And in a normal curve, you would know that there are low achievers and high achievers, but that does not mean that they don't have something that they could thrive in. And so our desire is to help these children to find what's their potential. It's unfortunate that our academic curricula is exam driven. So it in itself, it is unfair, and because it's the only measure that there is. But good news are that that system is coming to an end in the next maybe 3 or 4 years, because the government has now introduced a new curricula that is more US based of competencies, where children could follow different pathways. And that means they could follow music and art, it could be a science, whatever that is. And so that means children would have much more diversity in selecting where their strengths lie. So the children who've gone through in the past are disadvantaged because then their fate was sealed. If they couldn't pass that exam, that was it. But the ones that are coming, the future then is hopeful. But for us, what we hope to do with those children who we have, we know that there are those who will go straight to college, and they are open to apply even to colleges in the US. If we have any support in that way, we'd be happy to introduce to you some of our top scorers. Then we have the middle level in between. And these are students who may enter into middle level colleges of artisanry. And these are even skills that are needed as a country, because we need to grow and become more industrialized. So that level, middle level college is a critical part of our growth as a country. And we may have others who may do business or do something else. So whichever pathway or wherever their strengths lie, we acknowledge that and we would like to support them where possible.
Thank you, Evalyn. Tina, who hasn't seen the school in a while, says, I'm so impressed with school and how far it's come. Is the water project now complete and in full operation?
Thank you, Tina, for that. And thank you, Rotary, because you're one of the Rotarians that helped to put that project into place. We had delays mostly because of the COVID-19, but it's now at its finishing stage. We experienced a bit of a setback, but now that has been since resolved, and we actually are comfortable, because if we didn't have that water, it would have been really challenging. So thank you.
Also, there was a question, how did NMS do to the other schools in the country on the national 8th grade exams? And who was NMS's top student?
I assume we are asking about the latest results. Now, it so happens that they don't grade at country level, because that used to create a lot of emotions and, kind of competition. So it's done quietly at county level. For us, within the Busia County where we fall, we were the top school, and that was really a good thing for us.
And Evalyn, who was the top student? This is Karen. I
Yes.
think it was one of the sponsored children who is now going to be one of our scholars.
Yes, thank you. Actually, the top two are both a boy and a girl. They tied in that one position, and both of them are sponsored learners, very needy children. So it's very inspiring.
go ahead. You know what, we can open this up to sort of a hold your hand up, and since, you know, it's such a small group, I think we could just benefit from holding our hand up and
So Kim Hill, I think you had a question?
I'm really fascinated with how you retain your teachers and what you have in place so that you get the top teachers and keep the top teachers in your program. I think you mentioned a little bit, you have insurance and retirement incentives. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. And that was a good observation. We mentioned that that's one of our plans, because we've looked at how would we retain our teachers, because after a while we lose them to the government employment, simply
Right.
because the government gives them these retirement benefits, they
Mhm.
have medical insurance, they have other perks, which
Yep.
we cannot afford to do. And
Mhm.
so eventually, even with the best teachers, even if they felt that Nambale is a very good place to work in, they still feel, we cannot stay here long. So it's a dream, it's in the pipeline. We are considering how would we give a package to staff that will motivate them and keep them and say, why go and languish in a public school of 70 kids in a class and not enjoy success? And, you know, so we want to be able to give that a chance to teachers. So that's something that's in the pipeline we are considering. It's not yet there, but it's one of our strategies.
I will mention on that note, the Cornerstone Project has a very strong tie with teachers in general, and also with a group that we partner with, Kappa Delta Pi, which is Honor Society for Teachers. And one of my board members is a teacher, and we are actually going to be getting a fundraising effort together. We're in the works of it now, and we're hoping to have a town hall exclusively for teachers in order to raise money to create a benefits package for them. So that is in the works as we speak.
And let me add to that, because Kim has actually donated money to Friends of Nambale. We have a segregated fund that Kim, you actually started to. You've donated 2 years to it, given your interest in the teaching staff and supporting that crew. And we're sort of waiting for Evalyn to decide her strategy about how best to do that, whether it's benefits or whether it's a bonus plan, which we've talked about, whether it's paying for additional education for the teachers. So that, given what Cornerstone is doing and the fact that we have a little fund we'd love to raise more money for too, in support of whatever this kind of emerging strategy is. We're trying to be thoughtful about the best way to get them out of the public school system and keep them at Nambale.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I think we should really actually talk about maybe partnering on that with the two groups, because there's a lot of people that clearly on both of our ends that have an interest in the same thing. So kudos to you, and thank you, Kim. I wasn't aware that you were spearheading such an effort. Good for you.
Thank you, Kim.
And those who can't raise their hand because they're not on video, just write in the chat and we'll get to you as well. Loretta, did you have something to say?
Loretta, you're on mute.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I'd like to go back to the students who have graduated Nambale Magnet School. Karen, you might like to, and I have several questions, but I addressed this to Karen because she's very familiar with them. The first two, of the first graduating class, there were two really exceptional students, Alpha and Jackson, whom I think have already been mentioned. Karen, tell about their being accepted to the program at Yale last summer.
Yeah, so the two of those students who were the first class of Nambale Scholars, and just to be clear, what Nambale Scholars is a program to take the neediest of the children and support them at the next stage, the high school stage, and now potentially college, because these children would, even though they're highly qualified in some cases and not in other cases, but they have no chance for further education. So Alpha and Jackson got admitted to Light Academy, which is on a full scholarship as long as they maintained an A- average, which is very, very hard. So these two kids who grew up with nothing embarked on a journey to Nairobi and a elite private school on full scholarship. We helped with their other expenses. Jackson just graduated with an A. And I think Evalyn was listed in the national newspaper as one of the top students in the country. And Alpha had an A-. So both of them kept their scholarship for all 4 years. They were both accepted into the Yale, I think it's Evalyn, the Young Global Scholars program last summer, and just so sad that they could not come to New Haven because it was going to be a program where they would be able to come. So I think both of them are potential kids who could go to a US university or college. And that's something that Evalyn on the ground there and those of us who try to support these kids in their further education will try to make happen if they qualify. Evalyn, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, you've said it so correctly. And eventually they were asked if they could join the program online, but that's the time when they had reopened school, and given that the academic rigor could not allow them to spare so much time to be away, they therefore just turned it down. However, Janex has applied to that program and was again equally also admitted, but on an online course. So I'm hoping, I don't know how he's gonna navigate that while he's in school. What he would require is to carve out a certain time when he is maybe not having classes and attend the mentorship program. So
Okay.
It's really a good opportunity for them.
Again, by way of explanation, Janex is an emerging or a rising Form 4, the year behind Alpha and Jackson, and also one of our Nambale scholars. I think we're going to have 57 kids that we're sponsoring in high school next year, which is extraordinary.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Good for you, Karen. I'm so impressed with the work you've done. Loretta?
Yes, that program at Yale, as Karen mentioned, it's a global program. So students from all over the world were coming. And can you imagine what an experience that would have been for these students had they been able to come? And can you imagine what people like Tom and myself who live in the New Haven area, how disappointed we were that we couldn't see them when they were at Yale? I'd like to know about these two particular students because I had been in touch with Alpha off and on during his years in Nairobi. And he had said that he really would love to go to MIT. Is that still his dream for college? And do you know what he's doing?
Thank you. I know dreams change, and sometimes people, the experiences and the interactions with other people, new things come.
Yes.
The last conversation I had with him was to do a course in Kenya, aeronautical engineering at a university in Nairobi.
Oh.
So I don't know if they will reconsider, but we are thinking of bringing them together and finding a way to mentor them, get someone who can help them be mentored along their passion and their capabilities. So that's something we are planning to do in the next few weeks.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Evalyn, let's go back to Nambale Magnet School. It's fascinating to hear about the graduates, but what are your most pressing needs at this point at NMS?
Yeah, thank you, Tom. The school has continued to churn out students at the end of their 8 years, but we remain with a whole group right from age 3, which we call play group, all the way to grade 7. And keeping these children in school, feeding, providing for their academics requirements, and everything else, including medical, really lies on the operations of the school. And this has been one of the most challenging things that we have had over the years. So we continue to ask friends to consider supporting that operational budget. But in the future, we see that perhaps we should be thinking of an endowment scheme so that then the school can continue, whether we are here or not, we know that beyond us, the school will continue to thrive and help many children to come. So that's a real big objective that we have.
That's a very good goal, Evelyn. I hope we can put together an endowment. It's a big task, but perhaps with the concerted and combined efforts of our organizations, we can at least get that off to a start.
Mhm.
Are there tax advantages? Do you know of any tax advantages that would make it beneficial for corporations to do kind of an endowment for something like that? That would be so interesting, because I think if you get enough of a base in that endowment, then it'll continue to generate money. If you could get someone to commit, that would be awesome. I'd be so interested in hearing more about an endowment that's generating income.
I think that's a great idea, and I think the time has come. We've grown to a point where it makes perfect sense, and I'm happy to be on board with that endeavor as well.
Yeah.
I have a question, because I think one of the iPhone people here has an interest in possibly visiting Kenya and visiting the Nambale Magnet School. So tell us what your thoughts and feelings are on having visitors come to the school, both adults and students.
Yeah, is that Tina and everyone else? That's really something we love to have people visit, because it's not enough to see pictures and be told about it. To experience the school and engage with the kids and see what we do, then one begins to appreciate this whole dream. So we invite friends to come over, and we have a nice, simple guest house. We call it Karibu, which means welcome, and therefore is a nice place that people can retreat back to, and yet it's within the school compound, so they can engage with the kids, participate in whichever activities they would be interested in, and still be within the school compound. So yes, we say welcome.
Awesome.
Thank you, Evelyn. There are so many ways to help. We've named some of them. Helping with the operating budget, which is a budget that continues always. An endowment, which will keep the school going in perpetuity. Perhaps a teacher's package. It can go from the mighty to the mini, having students that have an area of proficiency, whether it's soccer, for soccer programs, or band instruments. We're raising money for a marching band. We already have the drums. So whatever any person feels called to do to help is something that we can use and applaud and appreciate. Okay, Tina, your hand's up.
I am. I wanted to reiterate the companies that give employees matching grants, and we've done that. And actually, I was thinking that even for the board, I have to see what Gardner's maximum matching grant is, but even if we've got a collective bunch of people raised a couple $1,000, $2,000 to get $4,000.
Right.
Because they'll match the grant. And I think if you dig, there's lots of companies that have brought that back to their employees, and not do it as an individual, but if we can know who those companies are through our board members or our supporters, we can really utilize that tool to make quite a bit of money, doubling our money to give to Nambale.
That's a good thing to consider. Yes, Loretta.
My daughter works for Goldman Sachs, and every time that she donates, they match her gift. And in fact, I funnel some money to her because rather than my donating directly, she will donate it so that Goldman will double it. Also, I wonder if a company like Goldman or the one you just mentioned would consider endowments. Does anybody have any experience with that?
I
do not.
Huh?
Most large companies do have charitable foundations. Regrettably, they do not fund operating expenses and endowments by and large. They like to fund specific projects with accountability and results-based accountability formulae. So it's not as easy to just walk up to a corporation and say, hey, you've got lots of money, how about funding our endowment? That's probably not a winning strategy. Endowments, for the most part, are largely raised through individuals. That's the sad reality.
Okay.
Jamie?
So one thing that we're working on here in Milford is, and already there's a number of churches that are involved in supporting the Nambale Magnet School. But as we think of this endowment option, almost all churches themselves have their own endowments and realize how critical they are to these sort of endeavors. So we might even have the ability to have endowment outreach to churches as a way of them understanding better the school and helping to be part of it in perpetuity, which makes churches feel really good.
Excellent, excellent. All good things to consider.
And I just mentioned you, Martine, you through your organization, you donated drums, right? And
Yes.
we've given a keyboard and recorders. So if people are considering instruments, don't donate those. What we really need, I think, is a music teacher so that we can utilize these instruments.
Well, the way the whole drum thing came about was through the middle school in New Canaan. The kids got really excited and they started donating instruments. So now we've networking is everything. So in speaking with American Friends of Kenya, which ships things from the United States, come to find out one of the members of that organization is a big band geek. She was at the Yukon marching band. So we have a bunch of kids in New Canaan dying to donate instruments, and we have the band teacher that wants to go over there and teach them. And we have the woman from AFK who's a former band geek that will ship the instruments through American Friends of Kenya to us. So bam, with all these things converging, looks like a marching band might happen.
That would be awesome.
Well, it would be because the school already has a scout, how do I say it? A scout group, right, Evalyn?
Yes, there is, yes. We have a scout team, but also we have like churches such as this Salvation Army that march, they do have bands. So it's very easy to get someone locally to come and help. Even if we have people coming from the US to start us off, the ones that are local can pick up from there and move forward.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
And students who are coming from the United States to Africa that have a particular talent or gift, whether it's soccer or art or music or what have you, can exchange and experience and do a learning exchange. So there's always ways. This is only to emphasize that there are always ways to help the mighty and the many, and they are all very heartfelt.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that we have covered a lot of ground. We're going to have the video available on all of our respective websites, and this recorded as well, so that those who came in, now Dub's iPhone, I'm not sure who Dub's is, but I'm assuming Dubs did not see the video, so be checking on whose ever website to.
I know that person.
Hey, there's Dubs. So,
So do I.
Pardon me?
We know him.
Okay, good. So if Dubs wants to visit whatever respective website, they can catch the video there or probably get sent directly. But I think it's time to thank everyone for this wonderful gathering. And Evalyn, thank you for informing us in such a gracious way as you always do, even though it's much later there than here. So thank you so much, and thank everyone for participating.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks.
Martine,
Thank you.
are we going to hang on, a few of us hang on for a minute?
Sure.
You, Jamie, Tom, me,
Okay.
yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Take
thank
care.
you. Bye,
Bye,
Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Thanks, Evelyn.
Great
Bye,
to see
Evelyn.
you.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
joining us today. This is great.
Bye.